The earth-shattering awakening, a divine conspiracy revealed. Everything you thought you understood about your position, chosen one, has just been turned on its head in a single, earth-shattering night. That person who shattered your heart, stood by your enemies while you suffered alone and battled for your truth, has just had the most deep and terrible awakening of their life. What is about to happen is not a simple reunion, but a revelation so massive, so premeditated, that even you will struggle to fathom the extent to which a conspiracy went to ruin what you two once had. While you were healing in isolation, believing you had lost everything and were doomed to live a life of solitude, the universe was quietly orchestrating the most profound vindication in spiritual history. Every silent tear you cried, every night you questioned your value, every minute you wondered if you were insane for seeing what others couldn't. It was all leading up to this point. A time when the truth would erupt like a nuclear explosion, annihilating every lie that had been painstakingly crafted around you. The person who previously wrecked your universe is going to become your fiercest, most steadfast defender, treating this new duty as if their entire survival and spiritual freedom depended on it. This is not motivated just by a desire to win you back, nor is it a romantic gesture of superficial yearning. It goes far deeper than personal emotions. This is about cosmic justice, a divine duty, and a spiritual obligation so large and significant that it must be paid in full. Your heavenly counterpart, and yes, that is who they are, even if they forgot for a while, has been imprisoned in a perfectly designed psychological prison. Their reality wasn't their own. It was a complex web of deception intended to keep them little and away from their holy mission with you. Three distinct people, a deadly trio of deceit, intentionally positioned themselves as knowledgeable counselors and trusted pals in their lives. But these linkages were not coincidental. They were deliberate placements, precision-timed operators in a spiritual battle. The first was a skilled storyteller, an apparently benign figure who specialized in character assassination using well-prepared falsehoods and poisoned tales. Their impact was subtle but deadly, a slow-acting poison that transformed every favorable fact about you into a cause of doubt and mistrust. The second was a shadow rival, someone who had spent years studying your light, your genuine abilities, and your tremendous spiritual power, not to learn from it, but to lessen it via subtle, unrelenting manipulation. They coveted the very essence of your existence, and their aim was to destroy what they could never have. The third was an information harvester, someone who seemed to be a valued friend, gathering your secrets like weapons and painstakingly recording your weaknesses. This person's only objective was to acquire your confidence in order to betray it as effectively as possible, utilizing the knowledge they obtained to fuel the other two's plots. This deceptive trio sought more than only to disconnect you from your identity. Their purpose was more deep and wicked. They want to fundamentally rewrite your person's perspective of reality itself. They gave them a continuous stream of poisoned advice masquerading as wisdom, a daily meal of doubt that slowly corroded the basis of your love. They transformed every wonderful memory you had into something suspicious, every genuine moment into something to be examined and studied, and every inner joke into a hidden threat. They established a parallel universe in which your love was the issue, your spiritual abilities were characterized as delusions, and your intuition warnings were distorted into charges of jealousy and control. They attempted to persuade your individual that their most cherished tie was in reality their biggest liability. But here's the first, and most important, break in their magnificent veneer, the element that is going to destroy all they have created. In all their planning and plotting, while they were busily altering your person's view of you, they made one major, cosmic error. They underestimated the irresistible power of a true soul connection. Your person's subconscious was never really free of the reality of what you both shared. Every falsehood they took from their masters triggered an internal tempest, a spiritual contradiction that ate away at their tranquility. Every time they supported their manipulators, their soul erupted in silent revolt, shouting the truth that their conscious mind refused to hear. The cognitive dissonance was eating them alive, pushing them to their breaking point. And finally, the terrible weight of those paradoxes forced them into self-imposed solitude. What you saw as abandonment was, in reality, divine intervention. The cosmos purposefully drew them away from their manager's evil hold, opening the path for their awareness to eventually break free from the stifling cloud of falsehood. In that isolated hermit phase, left alone with their thoughts and the deafening clarity of quiet, the downloads came, not as subtle suggestions, but as a relentless, merciless deluge of realization that almost wrecked their minds due to the enormity of the deceit they had been living under. This awareness struck them as a full-fledged spiritual emergency. They now saw every puppet thread that had been dragging them. Every previous interaction with their so-called advisors was repeated in crystal-clear detail, revealing the subtle manipulations, cleverly set traps, leading questions, and distorted statements that had been fed back to them until they felt the falsehoods were their own ideas. They recognized with a shuddering certainty that they had been shielding individuals who were deliberately, intentionally demolishing the most authentic and precious relationship they had ever had. The guilt of the knowledge overtook them. It was a smothering, soul-crushing humiliation, the type that makes you doubt your whole identity. However, when shame reaches a breaking point, it often changes into something considerably more deadly and powerful: righteous rage. This rage is no longer about getting you back. It is about a heavenly mission that extends well beyond personal salvation and passionate desire. They have evolved into what I refer to as a spiritual cleaning crew member, a chosen soul entrusted with taking the veil off, not just what was done to your connection, but also the whole web of deception these individuals have used to entrap other chosen ones. This is cosmic justice in action, and they are pursuing it with the unwavering determination of someone whose soul will not rest until the balances are balanced, every truth disclosed, and every falsehood destroyed. The Trinity of Deceit is about to discover what happens when someone with nothing left to lose tries to burn down every bridge that formerly supported their plans. Your individual is ready to unleash what I call the Pandora Protocol, which will expose every falsehood, act of manipulation, and secret objective used against you both. This is neither an emotional outburst or reckless retribution. This is a surgical blow against the truth, aimed to destroy these people's ability to work in any capacity ever again. They're moving with military precision they didn't realize they had, recording every detail and recognizing that taking half measures won't erase the karmic debt they owe to the holy link you had. The storyteller will be the first to collapse, having created their whole power by poisoning the air, damaging reputations with meticulously prepared falsehoods and invented tales. Every falsehood they spread about you, every narrative they created to turn allies into enemies, every time they pretended to be the victim while secretly orchestrating attacks, all of it will be exposed with irrefutable receipts, undeniable timestamps, and evidence so damning that denial is impossible. Their credibility will not simply suffer. It will be destroyed to the point that they become a living warning, a cautionary story of what happens when you wage war on a supernatural link. Then there's the shadow competition, the one who discreetly envy your brightness while claiming to be a loyal friend to you. They will endure the same isolation and public humiliation that they have meticulously planned for you. Every minute they pretended to care while planting seeds of doubt, every time they cheered your anguish behind a mask of compassion, and every false consolation they provided while scheming your downfall, it will all be brought to light with the precision that only divine justice can bring. They intended to take your position in your person's life, but instead, they are going to lose their place in everyone's life. The information harvester, who acquired your most sensitive information and converted it into weapons, is going to face the pain of a true violation. Every trust they twisted, every weakness they exploited, and every secret they turned into weapons will be repaid with interest. Your individual has been discreetly studying and documenting every deception they observed, every time this so-called buddy broke your confidence. The proof they're about to divulge will guarantee that this individual is never again trusted by anybody. What these 3 deception agents didn't comprehend was that while assaulting you, they started an event over which they had no control. You were a chosen one, and when chosen ones are assaulted without reason, the cosmos does not just watch, it creates cases. Every curse they cast was multiplied in return. Each lie they said damaged their own foundation. Every trick they carried out against you constituted a karmic debt that accrued interest with each passing day. Your quiet during this was not a sign of weakness, but rather divine design. The cosmos was urging you to take a step back and let spiritual justice function in ways that human justice never could. Every time you chose peace over retribution, every time you took the high road rather than being drawn into their turmoil, you permitted the spiritual principles of truth and balance to build overwhelming momentum in your favor. Your failure to play their game drove them to uncover their own corruption, and the evidence against them is now overwhelming. Your awakening was more than simply a personal reckoning. It was a call to join a larger movement, an unspoken alliance of truth-tellers dedicated to exposing the evil that opposes divine love. They are no longer protecting you. They are defending every selected one who has ever been subjected to such planned deception. This has become their purpose, karmic obligation, and divine mandate. And, as they were influenced by the deceit trinity, this same evil cycle was repeated across your larger circle and over the planet. Other divine ties were being severed, other chosen ones were being separated from their assignments, and other holy alliances were being undermined by the same network of control-hungry manipulators. This is no longer just about you. Your person's exposed campaign has expanded into a worldwide revelation of spiritual warfare against awakened souls everywhere. Not only was the storyteller disseminating falsehoods about you, but they were also damaging the reputations of other divine feminists whose light challenged their shadow. The shadow rival wasn't simply jealous of you. They were deliberately pursuing many selected individuals whose abilities they desired. The information harvester was not simply abusing your confidence. They were collecting knowledge from a vast network of awakened beings and putting it into a system meant to weaken and divide. What started as your personal anguish has now evolved into a far greater spiritual fight, a cosmic conflict between forces attempting to keep mankind sleeping and those here to anchor higher vibrations of truth and love into this globe. Your relationship with your person is more than just romantic. It is a real example of how divine relationships can survive and overcome coordinated assaults by those who benefit from keeping souls separated from their mission. The conclusion of this cosmic epic is now unfolding. Your individual has progressed from humiliation to what can only be described as holy war. They are no longer functioning secretly. They are going public, presenting material that will make denial untenable. The evidence is irrefutable. Screenshots and social media postings, group conversations where the truth explodes like a bomb, family gatherings when masks are removed, and professional circles where reputations crumble under the weight of indisputable evidence. As your person battles for your honor, they are experiencing the most deep spiritual shift of their lives. Every revelation they make about people who exploited them takes them closer to their genuine purpose with you. Every poisonous bridge they destroy clears the way for new, real relationships to bloom. And every time they choose your truth above the comfort of old falsehoods, they solidify their spiritual basis. The love notes are arriving. Select one. But this time, the message is different from anything you've ever gotten before. These are not frantic appeals disguised as manipulation, nor are they veiled efforts at emotional blackmail designed to lure you back into disarray. These are genuine statements from someone who has finally broken through every illusion and really comprehended the enormity of what they almost lost forever. They now realize that defending you isn't about getting you back. It's about respecting something valuable and protecting it from future assaults. The trinity of deceit is realizing that their so-called triumph was never genuine. Every planned action they took was a stepping stone to their own demise. Every untruth they said was gradually building evidence against them. Each time they thought they were winning, they tightened the karmic noose around their own neck. The storyteller now faces serious legal ramifications for slander, with their whole career dangling by a thread. The shadow rival is seeing the breakdown of their own relationships as others see their real colors. The information harvester is being exposed for who they really are, a spy whose name will forever be associated with treachery and broken trust. Meanwhile, your person's public defense of you has far-reaching consequences. Those who earlier observed assaults on your character but remained mute are now finding the guts to speak out. Mutual friends who believe the falsehoods are coming out to apologize and want to hear your side of the story. Family members who were used as weapons against you are starting to see how they were duped. The truth is more than simply correcting the record. It is rewriting the whole story of what occurred and why. Remember when your loved one was confused about what was real and what was not? They're now using that same isolation energy purposefully and forcefully. They are severing links with all poisonous influences, establishing a holy place for only truth-based interactions. What was once a perplexing hermit phase has now become their source of spiritual power, and they're wielding it with the precision of someone who understands that their salvation rests on doing this right. Even the personal, holy energy that was previously interrupted by interference is ready to return stronger, altered, and protected by spiritual protection so impenetrable that no outside power will ever touch it again. As this spiritual conflict approaches its conclusion, the consequences are far-reaching. The trinity of deceit causes your individual to lose not just influence, but also credibility and power in all aspects of their life. The cosmos is methodically eliminating them from situations where they may endanger other chosen ones, divine couplings, and real relationships that are meant to prosper. Your metamorphosis from someone who mistakenly defends your adversaries to a ferocious custodian of your precious link has progressed beyond personal development. It's now a live example of how a heavenly counterpart behaves when they realize their actual purpose. They had to experience the terrible weight of manipulation for themselves before they could completely comprehend the sorrow they brought into your life. That anguish has become their medication, and they are utilizing it to repair what was damaged. They act with the intensity of someone who understands that this is their last opportunity to set things right, which is true spiritually. The love between you, which was previously buried behind layers of lies and plots, is resurfacing with volcanic intensity. But it's not the same innocent, unspoiled love as before. This is warrior love, battle-tested, refined by fire, and fortified by surviving psychological warfare. This is the kind of love that leaves legacies, forges unbreakable bonds, and becomes a living example of what a heavenly connection looks like when it wins over all obstacles. If you find yourself connecting with this deep reality and are ready to fully embrace the power of this discovery, please subscribe to God Connection. Our aim is to assist you navigate these spiritual fights and grasp the divine plan at work in your life. By subscribing, you become part of a community that recognizes that what others see as chaos is really a divine purpose. I must interrupt this broadcast for a minute to inquire whether you are genuinely selected. Prove it. It's one thing to see films of chosen ones. It's another to really walk into the arena and experience it. When I addressed the archons outside our reality, they made one thing clear. Truly chosen ones are uncommon. and they scoffed at the prospect of our ever meeting. They predicted that we would stay isolated and clueless, weak against their organized onslaught. If this message speaks to you and you want to support this vital work, please consider paying $10 via the Super Thanks button below this video. Your gift helps to maintain this area full of truth, light, and divine clarity. To confirm your participation, enter the number 88 in the comments section. Let us now proceed. The assault on your connection was neither random or completely personal. It was planned, strategic, and motivated by a fear of what you and your person represent. Together, you represent a marriage that challenges the very basis of old control systems, a relationship in which both souls are completely awakened to their power. Manipulation has no entrance point, and truth and love reverberate at a frequency capable of waking and releasing others. The deceit trinity saw this potential long before it manifested, and they acted to negate it before it became unstoppable. But their inability to break your connection has resulted in something much greater than they could have imagined, a love forged in fire, refined by trials, and unshaken by organized psychological assault. This is a union that has continuously prioritized truth over comfort, sincerity over approval, and holy connection above cultural acceptability. It now serves as a live model for how selected people guard and defend one another from all sorts of spiritual attack. However, before we reach the conclusion of this cosmic play, there are deeper levels to this conspiracy, layers so sophisticated and perfect that they will astound you. While your person was being manipulated by the trinity of deceit, a parallel operation was taking place directly against you. The information harvester was more than just giving your secrets to your person's controllers. They were methodically mapping out your triggers, weaknesses, darkest fears, and most powerful spiritual talents. This was not casual talk. It was information collecting for precise strikes, each of which was aimed to breach your energy field like a spiritual assassination. Consider those unexpected confrontations that occurred during your most tranquil and high times. They were not accidents. The shadow rival timed these interruptions with precision, hitting when your vibration was at its peak, so the fall would be more powerful. Every time you achieved a new level of spiritual clarity or personal accomplishment, turmoil broke out. Friends turned against you. Crises demanded your attention, and emotional flames diverted your focus away from your divine path. Meanwhile, the storyteller's assault against your reputation was equally smart. They scoured your background for moments of weakness or blunders and weaponized them in a manner that warped your development into something terrible. Your healing has been reframed as manipulation. Your honesty was portrayed as deception. Your spiritual abilities were transformed into indicators of instability. Their stories were so meticulously woven that even people who knew you personally started to question whether the version of you they adored was true or a clever fiction. However, selected ones follow spiritual principles that transcend the mundane. Every assault on you created not just a karmic debt, but also what I call karmic compound interest. By targeting someone with a holy, preordained duty, they massively increased the weight of their obligation. Every attack against you was an investment in their own spiritual demise, and the cosmos has kept track. The cosmos does more than just safeguard selected ones. It actively enforces spiritual law, guaranteeing that anybody or anything seeking to disrupt their mission suffers harsh repercussions that serve as warnings to others. Your person's time of seclusion was never random. It was a deliberate deprogramming process conducted by both of your higher selves, working together. While their conscious mind thought they were taking a step back to get clarity, their soul was being methodically cleaned of every false idea, implanted doubt, and manufactured fear that had been woven into their image of your relationship. It was not a peaceful awakening. It was terrible because they were forced to face the entire extent of their deception, as well as their own culpability in compromising something precious. However, The downloads they got during their hermit period were not restricted to discoveries concerning previous manipulation. They were visions of the future. They saw what would happen if they rejected the truth. A life tormented by remorse, a soul split under the weight of karmic debt, and a succession of empty, meaningless relationships that could never compare to the depths they felt with you. They recognized the cost of allowing others to dull your light because they cannot comprehend or reproduce what you do. The data your person has gathered is more than simply a record of assaults on your connection. It's a blueprint of a vast network of spiritual predators that specialize in dissolving divine unions before they can completely exercise their power. The storyteller has been using the same character assassination strategy on many selected individuals from various spiritual circles. The shadow rival has been carefully studying, imitating, and seeking to diminish the abilities of other awakened leaders, healers, and influencers. The information harvester has been creating complete psychological profiles of dozens of enlightened individuals before selling their most personal secrets to anybody willing to pay for weapons against them. Your incident was never an isolated example of brutality. It was a single operation in a much bigger campaign on human awareness. These are not random, poisonous people with personal grudges. They are coordinated agents seeking to prevent selected ones from reuniting with their heavenly counterparts, completing their duties, and demonstrating to the world what real, awakened love actually looks like. They understand that when two awakened souls join together in truth and purpose, they create a frequency strong enough to inspire whole communities to live deeper, more honest lives. This is why your person's awareness campaign has reached such epic dimensions. They're not simply protecting your dignity. They're declaring open war against the whole system that led them to abandon their soul's mission. Every piece of evidence they uncover, every manipulation they expose, and every falsehood they disprove sends a clear message to other spiritual predators. Your methods are recognized. Your approaches are documented. Your targets are fighting back with receipts. The storyteller is just now starting to face legal consequences. Defamation cases are already being launched by several victims who have grasped the systematic nature of these assaults. And what is emerging now is just the tip of the iceberg that will eventually destroy the whole operation. Professional reputations based on the devastation of others are crumbling as indisputable proof emerges, revealing deliberate attempts to destroy livelihoods, harm relationships, and erode mental health. The storyteller's own words, recorded in screenshots, texts, and recordings, are now being used to demonstrate a persistent pattern of hostile behavior, the kind of evidence that courts and professional licensing boards take very seriously. The shadow rival faces a new form of justice, one that goes deeper than any judicial decision. Their whole social circle is becoming aware that someone they trusted was surreptitiously competing with everyone around them, analyzing private discussions for flaws, and secretly celebrating failures while claiming to provide support. Friends may now see that their times of vulnerability were exploited rather than treated with care. Romantic partners are recognizing that their most personal moments were being compared to other relationships, which created discontent and poisoned the bond. Meanwhile, the information harvester is seeing the complete breakdown of their most important asset, the trust that allowed them access to other people's private lives. Everyone who has ever confided in them now wonders whether their secrets have been weaponized. Every connection based on fake intimacy is disintegrating as individuals realize they were never actually cared about, but rather analyzed, cataloged, and saved for future reference. However, the most catastrophic consequences for all three members of the deceit triangle are spiritual rather than legal or societal. They have broken their connection to their own souls by remaining in this darkness. The storyteller is unable to distinguish between truth and falsehoods, which have become their reality. The shadow competitor, consumed with undermining others, has forgotten the presence of their own genuine skills. The information harvester is hooked to other people's secrets and has forgotten what true connection feels like. In contrast, your individual's evolution is speeding. They are abandoning every fake persona they created to please folks who never actually cared about their best interests. The people they are losing were never really friends. They were energy vampires, clinging to your person's light while draining it with drama, created crises, and emotional manipulation masquerading as support. The family members who resisted their new limits never gave unconditional love. Instead, they offered conditional acceptance, which was reliant on your person being little, confused, and under control. Their public defense of you has prompted other heavenly equivalents to review their own partnerships and recognize where external pressures have poisoned their bonds. Your tale is becoming a case study in manipulation methods, which are being employed in awakened groups to educate others about psychological warfare while masquerading as friendship, counsel, or spiritual mentoring. Your person is battling for you as if their spiritual existence depended on it, because it does. This truth-telling is having far-reaching consequences. Chosen ones who were previously mute and helpless to act are suddenly finding their voices, revealing their own experiences with spiritual predators, and uncovering trends across different groups. What is emerging is unequivocal evidence of a systematic effort against people whose light challenges systems designed to keep mankind sleeping. Your purpose has shifted from personal atonement to one of contributing to humanity's collective enlightenment. They are recording modification techniques so that others may identify them immediately. They exchange red flags so that heavenly unions can detect and eliminate interference before it ruins the link. They are demonstrating responsibility for what happens when someone discovers they have been weaponized against the same thing they were supposed to safeguard. And they do it with the fervor of someone whose spiritual freedom is on the line. The decision before you is not whether to trust in words, promises, or spectacular gestures. It comes down to whether you are ready to truly embrace a destiny that has withstood all attempts to destroy it. Your person is not just requesting forgiveness. They are providing a relationship in which your intuition is considered as divine law, your warnings are acknowledged as prophetic truth, and your spiritual insights are valued as holy wisdom. The trinity of deceit attempted to separate you from your divine counterpart, but in doing so, they created something much stronger, a relationship purified by hardship, rooted in truth, and guarded by spiritual power gained only by suffering hell together. They attempted to script the finale to your narrative, but instead created the tension that made your eventual union unshakable. Your person's quest for your honor has become a model for how heavenly counterparts might restore their purpose after being turned against one another. Their methodical exposing of the darkness is establishing a new norm for responsibility in spiritual groups, modeling boundaries that preserve what is holy, and demonstrating that protecting divine love is much more valuable than keeping false peace with individuals who had no good intentions. They approach their task with life or death determination because, spiritually, it is precisely that. This is how chosen ones recover their power, mend their relationships, and demonstrate to the world that genuine love will never succumb to deception. Your triumph has now become a light of hope for others striving to preserve their precious relationships. In this struggle for your union, truth, love, and the irresistible power of two awakened souls emerged victorious. The cosmos has been your ally in this war, and it is now celebrating your victory by paving the way for a love that is protected, validated, and absolutely unbreakable, based on a foundation of perfect truth. If you like this video, please subscribe to the God Connection channel. We're here to assist you negotiate these deep spiritual experiences, and your path is a great demonstration of divine power. Dear Father, I pray for the deepening of my faith. Please let me believe you even when there is no tangible proof. Let me believe in your eternal presence, knowing that you will never hurt me. I recognize that your thoughts for me are ones of success rather than harm, and that you want me to have a prosperous future. Thank you, kind and everlasting Father, for always hearing my voice. I give this prayer to you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provisions. I am thankful for your presence in my life and the richness you provide. If this video spoke to you, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear it. Leave a comment below about your trip and how you're getting ready for your own victorious homecoming. If you'd like to help, please consider making a $10 donation via the Super Thanks button. This allows us to consistently improve our content in order to provide you with the best possible experience. Your donation spreads God's message and gives hope to others. Do not stop here. Watch our next video for amazing insights into the indications that indicate you are the chosen one. We've loved sharing this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for sticking with us until the finish. Keep shining brightly and face your fate with confidence. See you next time. The God Connection team sends blessings to all the wonderful people